Good morning and welcome to my hobby bench for yet another episode of Engine Talk. Now today's talk is going to be show and tell basically. It's going to be only covering Fox engines, and what I've got on the table here is my small assortment of Fox engines that I currently own. Actually there's one that's in the box still, but it's enough like one of these that I'm not going to bother bringing it out. So I am by far no expert in the history of Fox engines. I have some history with Fox engines. I have never used a Fox engine in an airplane to fly. I believe that the only times I've ever, maybe way back. Yeah, I take that back. I think I did run a Fox 45 in an engine for a short time back in the early 90s. Maybe a fleeting memory, maybe. But for the most part, my experience with Fox engines has only been with running them on the stand and touching them, and I've serviced a few, but very few. I actually haven't even serviced very many Fox engines. So what I want to start with is just showing you and just say I'm going to try to present as many facts that I have and experience that I have with these engines. And Duke Fox was just, and I've said this in several different videos, I think he was either a madman or he was definitely an incredible innovator, because he changed the face of RC glow engines, tremendously, or at least he attempted to change it, because you're going to see some very interesting designs here. So one of the most common design things with Fox engines is the fact that they don't have a standard round barrel mount for the carb. They have what's called a saddle mount. And this is a Fox 45 engine, and this is a typical saddle mount type of configuration. Here is a Fox 19 BBRC that does have your standard traditional round thing where you set the carb in there and then it's secured by a set screw of some sort. But another thing about Fox engines, some of the Fox 45s and 40s, is you'll see this huge big rear cover. And I'm not really going and starting from any one part. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head here just to show some of the unique design features of these things. So this is always kind of an interesting thing, because first the gasket's really huge. So, and that makes it a lot more critical that it is intact and seals. But you can really, when you take this off, you can really see more of the inside of the engine, which I always thought was kind of interesting. And then along the lines of the carb, Fox, one of the things I do like about Fox engines is that the carbs, for the most part, not all of them, this one for sure, it's got this nice big idle screw knob that you can get on. It might be, if you're on a stand, or heck, even if you're on a plane, it might be a little tough to get at that, because the other thing that Fox did a lot of was this. I won't say a lot of. It was a design thing that I don't remember ever seeing on other engines before, which is the tilt down, and he also had a tilt up muffler. Now it seems like the tilt down mufflers were maybe a little bit more common. I've seen a lot more of those on engines than I've seen the tilt up mufflers, and I don't even think I have a tilt up muffler. I might. But so the issues with, there's issues with this tilt up muffler or tilt down muffler, in that I'm hoping you can see, in that I'm going to do this also. So say this is on the stand, or it's on an airplane, and you're like, well, gee, I want to get on here and adjust my low speed or my low speed mixture screw. And it's like, well, you can either try to, don't do that, or you're going to get it. So you do this, or you say, well, it's got a slot in there, I'll get in there with a screwdriver. And it's like, well, no, you really won't with this tilt down muffler. If the muffler was out straight, then you'd have a direct route to it. But as it is, you don't. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. So it's like, and you don't want to go doing this and adjust it, because then you're burning the crap out of your hands. So I mean, there's just a lot of things about Fox engines that are peculiar. I like the big, wide, high-speed needle thing. I mean, the larger diameter that is, the easier it is to turn. except in this case, this can be kind of tight. But, so those are just some of the strange things about Fox engines. Now I'm just going to kind of go around and show some of these engines that I've got. So this one is a standard, I think you'll be able to see that. It's also a standard rotating barrel carb. Now he has, on the table here, I've got at least 3 versions of carbs, Fox carbs that are like butterfly valves. So this is my Fox 60. And I'm not a historian, so I don't really remember. I think I used to know, but I think this engine maybe was released around 1968 or so. I'm not entirely sure, and it has some really interesting features, but it had a sister or a brother, whatever you want to call it, of the 74 that was a redhead. And so as you can see here, this one is a dual plug engine. And the other thing that's interesting about it is if you do this, those plugs are at different heights. And those 2 plugs are different. So one plug is on the more the intake side, and then one's on more the the exhaust side. And one of them, at least with the 74 redhead I had, one of them came with an idle bar. And I don't know if these are the stock ones that came with it or not. I think these are both Fox plugs, but one would have an idle bar and one was a non-idle bar. So this is just an RC long plug. I'm not sure if when I got this engine if these came in it or if I just threw some Fox plugs in there. But I know that that 74 I had 2 different types of plugs. One was an idle bar, and I think the instructions even called that out. Yeah, here's an idle bar one. So maybe it was the idle bar that was in that. But on that Fox 74 engine, one of them was a shorter plug too. So this is an engine I acquired, oh gosh, I don't know, months ago. It's not set up for an exhaust at all. You can't, I don't think they even made a bolt-on exhaust for this thing. It's just one of these deals where you've got this rotating baffle thing. And of course, one of those really interesting and highly, somewhat complicated carbs, because you've got, here, and going back to the same thing here, this is a low speed adjustment, which just so happens to also be where the fuel inlet goes on. So it's like when you try to adjust this, you got to try and reach around the fuel tubing and not say you're just turning the fuel tubing. So I mean, this was just one of those really silly things. And then it's got, I believe, I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and look. I don't have the instruction manual for this, but the Fox 74 one I had the exact same carb, and it was like, one was I've got an image that I put together that was in that video that said exactly what these needles were. One's like a low speed, one's a mid-range, and one I think is maybe a throttle stop or an idle set screw. But then again, if you look on this side of the carb, you've got this high-speed needle, which is a big wide disc, but I mean, you can grab it and you can turn this one pretty decent. So that's the thing, is it's kind of tight, and to really get on there, you might have to do one of these things to use this part of your finger to help you really, and then you're getting really close to the prop. It's got a nice wide slot, but the slot is so thin. It's like any blade, any screwdriver blade that's got a blade thin enough to fit in there isn't going to be wide enough to do much. It's going to be just it'd be more like this little thing, trying to rotate this thing. And of course you don't have as much physical lever motion there. So I mean, this is just an oddball thing. It's a beautiful engine. It's beautiful. In fact, another interesting feature about this engine, which I don't believe this one's ever been run, it's really strong compression. I don't know that I'll ever run it, but another thing that's interesting about this is the connecting rod has roller bearings in it. And that's one of the reasons why I probably will never ever take this thing apart, because I can only imagine you take that connecting rod off and then all those roller bearings go flying out of the tail end of the connecting rod, and it's like you got to count them and catch them and whatever. So this is a beautiful engine. It's a great display engine, but I don't know in all practicality if it was ever really a practical flight engine, but I'm certain that sort of people watching this will clue me in on that. So the next one I'm going to go to is this this little Fox 25 RC engine. Now, this is an engine that came in a box that looks like this. It says free written on it because I got this from a Facebook Marketplace thing, and I guess whoever was trying to get rid of this thing was actually trying to give it away, and they were unsuccessful. But anyway, so this is kind of a cute little engine. Another one that who knows if I'll ever run. It was really gummed up and stuck today. It wasn't... I don't think it was gummed up. I think it was just stuck from age, because I don't think this engine's ever been run. But again, they made the Fox 25 control line engine, and they basically just slapped a little carb on here. And if you look at the throw of this carb, you got like 15 to 20 degrees of throw. So it's like, and this is another one that I don't think you're going to be able to see in there. It's a throttle valve or a butterfly type thing. It's not a rotating barrel. So this is just another one of those weird ones where it's got very little throw, which might be a good thing. But then this little screw here is basically your idle adjustment screw, throttle stop screw, because it's limiting the travel of that. And you put your tubing on here, and of course that whole thing rotates. So that's like, seems like just a bad idea to have a tube, your fuel tube, on something that's moving. Even if it's not much, it's just still rotating, which seems like they would have a real tendency for it to eventually just come off. So I don't know. I mean, again, this is another one of those engines that's, it's got a high sheen, a high polish finish. It's a nice looking little engine, but I don't know if I personally will ever run it. Let's go to this one. So this was an engine I've run at least once. I'm trying to figure out, that's weird looking. So this is a different design altogether. And this one doesn't even have a displacement on it. Again, another tilt down exhaust right in the way. This one's almost, you can almost kind of get on that, kind of. Yeah, much better. So that's better. Another interesting design, it doesn't have any designation on it. For the longest time, I didn't know what the heck it was. And when I finally ran it, somebody commented and said, oh, that's a Fox 19 BBRC. And I said, okay, interesting. It's a 19, and this is supposedly a 25. And I guess, you know, if you just look at the cylinder heads and stuff, the difference between a 19 and a 25 isn't that much. But I thought it was interesting that this is a Fox 19. This is a very nice running engine. And the thing that's interesting about this is, A, it has a traditional carb mount, which is a round mount, you know. But then it's also got this the head is, when you take these head screws out, all of this comes off because you can see the parting line here. So it's a very interesting thing. I don't know that I've ever actually taken this apart. I might actually do a bearing replacement video on this, and as you can see, it's kind of carameled up here. This was a good running engine. It ran really well. And it's kind of got this spray bar attachment here is a little bit interesting, in that it kind of looks like a Super Tiger thing, but it's not, because loosening these two screws, you can't rotate anything. It's really strictly just to hold it in place. It looks like a throttle stop screw here. So you've got high speed, low speed, throttle stop, barrel retention. This is a barrel retention screw, I believe, is all that serves. And then this is your idle set screw or throttle stop screw. So let's go to this engine. So this is a big Fox Eagle 74. And again, this is one of those ones where there were two of them made, 60 or a 61 and then the 74, and they don't say the displacement on there. So when I got this engine, I wasn't sure what the heck it was, whether it was a 61 or 60 or whatever, or a 74. And that was many, many months ago, and for the life of me, I don't remember exactly what it was. But there was some external, I think there was some external, oh, that's what it was. It was the number of ports in the exhaust. See, this has got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this has got 4 ports in the exhaust, so that means that this is a 74. And I think the 60 or the 61, whatever the displacement size was, the windows, the port windows in the exhaust, there was only like 2, I believe. I believe that was the only way you could really tell without taking the head off and, you know, doing a measurement of the diameter of the piston. I think it was the only way you could tell. But again, this features the Fox saddle mount, and another really interesting design feature where this whole thing, this whole portion of the engine, when you take these screws off, unscrews and bolts, takes off, it comes off. And the thing that's really interesting about that is they made it that way, I believe, just so that you could actually rotate the head and orient the exhaust in different configurations. So it'll still operate fine, I believe, because I think when you're doing that, you're actually rotating the sleeve too. At least that's what I recall hearing from someone, is that you can just rotate this thing, go backwards. I don't know, you wouldn't want to go forward, but I don't know if you'd want to make it go out this side or not. Possibly you could do that, but I mean, you can just see this is a very, very unique designed engine as well. And that one's one that sits on my table here because I like looking at it. And the final engine that I'm going to talk about today is another recent acquisition from a fellow off of Facebook who's selling a ton of engines. Didn't exactly get a very good price for this, not like the price I would have liked to have gotten for it, but I saw this because Chris had sent me from Perky Plains in RC. He had sent me his Fox Hawk 60, which is what this is, a Fox Hawk 60. And I really kind of enjoyed running that engine. That was an engine that I had going up over 15,000 RPM, and the instruction manual for this thing says that they have had these engines running over 25,000 RPM without any harm to the engine. And that's exactly almost a direct quote from the Fox manual. And it's like, well, why would you want to do that? I mean, first of all, it's heavy. And to achieve 25,000 RPM, you would have to have such a small prop on here that I'm not certain that you're going to be getting enough thrust from that prop to do anything when you add the weight of this and the weight of the airplane that it's on. I'm not sure why there would be a benefit in having that level of RPM, but that's what they say. So the thing that's kind of interesting about this carb, it's another one of those really, you know, confusing, screwy carbs, is that it's got a throttle vane or a butterfly type deal going on. But the thing that was nice about this when I ran it was it's got 2 throttle arm positions, because this one is almost useless. You put it on a test stand at least, and I was unable to get my test stand to throttle arm to get on that, I believe. I think I had to use this upper, which was kind of nice. This was a fun engine to run. I really enjoyed it, and that's why I was like, when I sent that back to Chris, I was like, ugh, that was just a cool engine. So again, this is one of those, and this is his stock exhaust that comes, or was sold with it, I believe. Obviously, it looks very, you know, correct. But this was another one of those, I was like, you know, it's a good looking engine, and it's a good performing engine. This was actually really, really fun to run, and you'll have to go back, maybe I can put a link to that video. That was a fun engine to run. But so Fox, just in general, very innovative. It seemed like they had a different carb for every engine. It was just, I don't know, it seemed to me like there was just a very much a lack of consistency in design. And because I think of his innovative nature, it's not like a Sato engine. So let's just look. Here's a Sato 4-stroke engine. Have they ever changed over time? Not much. One of the biggest changes to any Sato engine has been this portion of the carb. And this was really only on the 40s and 45s, the early versions, where they had this 90-degree outlet. very soon after that, they cut that off and just went to a more traditional. But I mean, for the most part, this design has stayed consistent throughout the years. So it's like you have some engine companies, and Enya engines are the same type of thing, 4-stroke at least. You have some companies that just, once they come up with a design that works, they just say, well, this works and we like it and we're going to keep it that way. But then you have another company like Fox and even K&B to some degree that were just doing all sorts of different things. Now, whether they were actually trying to just be innovators, I think it was multiple parts. They're trying to be innovators, and maybe they're also trying to, get market share for the engines at that time too, because there were so many manufacturers out there. And I think OS was probably beating the crap out of everybody in sales. So I don't know, but all I can say is this is my little small grouping of Fox engines. I enjoy running them. They're, I think they're kind of fun to do. I haven't run these three, and I haven't run this guy yet either, which I'm not certain. This was on my list to run this year, and it just didn't happen. I had so many other things happening, but, I've had a whole lot of, there was at least another 8 engines on my list of engines that I wanted to run this year that didn't happen. So anyway, that's my engine talk video for this morning. Throw out any comments you've got about whether you like Fox engines, whether you agree with anything I said or not, whether you can identify any of them, your experience with Fox engines. I mean, I've had really good experience overall with Fox engines, but that's my personal experience on a test stand in that more of a controlled environment. So anyway, that's the video for today. Thank you for watching.